Hey guys, thanks for watching the Comic-Con video that I put together. I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to include everything that I had planned to do at my first time at this event, but as I learned this week, these last 5 days, as I did learn back in 2007 at the Cannes Film Festival, that I can't really be at the same place at the same time. Believe me, I have learned from it, and that I still haven't bought my soles for my shoes, and my feet do ache. And for those of you who don't really care about this video, or at least share my enthusiasm, I've been waiting for 20 years to go to this event. Believe me, it's been a long 20 years. I probably am admitting my age at this point. And as a closeted sci-fi horror fantasy nerd as myself, and wrestling, I had a lot of fun. I recorded the entire Q&A of the X-Files, and
okay, if Mulder and Scully were to ever go on a real live date, what do you think they would do on that date?
Have sex.
And then maybe dinner. I don't know.
I think it would be barbecue. Next up.
Was there ever, in all those years, a scene that you wanted to shoot, that you were unable to shoot, or didn't happen? What would it be? And give us a little bit of dialogue.
Honestly, a scene you can think of that we didn't do?
You're gonna get that sex scene one way or another. this crowd, they're up for some Mulder and Scully action.
Yeah.
I wanted a few more hints than that.
Yeah. Oh, you want to see that right now, do you?
Growing up with this show as a kid, I really loved the Monster of the Week episodes, and I wanted to ask the writers if there was ever a Monster of the Week that you thought of and really liked the concept, but that never made it to air.
I actually had I had asked Drew Barrymore to be on the show because I wrote a movie called Home Fries in 1990, came out in 98, and she seemed interested, and I was going to do this character where she was, because I love, aside from the X-Files, I love Twilight Zone, and there was the kid, the Billy Mooney episode where the kid can wish people into the cornfield, and I wanted to do an episode with Drew Barrymore having that kind of power, that amazing sort of godlike power over people, but then her agent called me up and said, "Stop bothering my client, Drew Barrymore." So, put out a restraining order, and so that never happened.
I had a question from Twitter real quick for David and Jillian. When do you think your characters finally realized that they were in love with each other?
I remember, in terms of characters or episodes, not written or characters, but I remember having a conversation with Tom Waits because you guys wanted him on the show, and I think for some reason he and I ended up having the phone conversation, me trying to convince him to come on the show and do it, and I think he wasn't able to, but that was a pretty cool moment in my life.
Got another question.
How much of a long-lasting impact do you think having a strong female main character on a sci-fi show had on the entire genre?
On the entire genre, I mean, I think just in terms of the feedback that I've gotten from young girls, young women, grown-up women throughout the last couple of decades, I mean, Scully had quite a huge impact on people from just, her aspects of her personality and her personal strength and things that she stood up for, and but she was also a decent human being.
That's a good question for Chris too. I mean, Chris, obviously you created such a strong female.
In terms of the genre, I think probably it's a question more for you than.
Scully was kind of my fantasy woman. She was strong and smart and opinionated and resourceful, tough, all those things that I, like. And it was kind of a fantasy relationship as well, that was as intellectual as it was anything else.
Next question.
In Dana Scully's character, you chose to have her have a very spiritual aspect to her character. And I'm curious as to why you chose to weave a religious thread through a series about extraterrestrials.
It was a natural for me because she was a scientist, but that made her character a sort of slightly one-dimensional character, and that if she had a religious upbringing, it was always tearing at her that she believed in something that was by virtue sort of irrational. So she had these two warring sides of her character.
Everyone wants to believe just different things. Next up.
My question was, definitely the X-Files was recognized as making genre TV safe for network TV. And what do you think it was about the open-ended format that spoke to a modern audience?
People sort of credit us with making popular or useful this mythology formula that you could actually have a show that had a serialized quality, and we had sort of both. The show was a lot of things, but I think Vince pointed out something in a recent article, which I actually had forgotten about, is that there was a show called Wise Guy, which was actually serialized long before the X-Files. So people had done the open-ended thing before successfully, but I think that we showed that you could actually have a sort of spine to the show, which was an ongoing storyline that people would come back to week after week.
I know that the character of Dana Scully was a physics major and inspired me to major in physics and go through and get my PhD. And thank you. You either have thought about doing anything to inspire other women in physics, if this is something you've heard a lot, that people will go on in physics because of Dana Scully's science background.
A lot of women actually have come up to me and told me that they went into physics because of Scully, and I think there was also something that was written in a science textbook, something called the Scully effect, which was just a huge amount of more women who were getting into the sciences around when the X-Files was on than they had experienced before.
Chris, wasn't there also, from my point of view, men often come up to me and say that they got into Scully because
I imagine a lot of people come up to you wanting to be Hank Moody, though, but that's a whole different thing. Next up.
So when X-Files first came out, it was set in the post-Cold War era, and those dynamics seem to really influence a lot of the show. I was wondering, how do you see sort of the relevancy of many of those themes in sort of today's new changing world dynamics, new threats, new critiques about the government, and do you think those dynamics would change how you write or you would have written the show?
Yes.
Awesome question.
The suspicions and the conspiracy theories are so much more, they're rampant today. And so I think that we would definitely, I think if the X-Files were to come back now, it would actually have the same sort of, you could do the show now, is what I'm saying, where you couldn't really do the show in 2002 because everyone trusted the government or wanted to trust the government. So it was a completely different world. So we went through a period there where I think the X-Files was not relevant.
So I was wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about the impetus of my favorite X-Files episode, Jose Chung from Outer Space, and what it was like for the national treasure that is Charles Nelson Riley.
I mean, he was just a laugh. I just remember him as being, he was very funny, he was very charming, he was very camp, obviously. He was fun. He was irreverent, and he was fun.
Did you write that part for him, Darren?
I wanted, no.
Who did you want?
Rip Taylor, because I like confetti. He wasn't available. But the original idea for the episode is I had, before I started working on the show, I had the idea of the teaser, which was two kids are being abducted by a couple of aliens, and then a third alien comes down and abducts them all. And I pitched the idea to Jim Wong, like my first day at work, and Jim said, "Never bring that up ever." Unfortunately, Jim left the show the following season, so that's why I did it. So thanks, Jim.
All right, next up.
I know after the X-Files ended, you'd said you'd never do TV again, and yet you did a show in the UK called The Fall, and you're doing Hannibal. And so I was wondering if there's something about detective characters that speak to you, or what it is that brought you back to our televisions again.
It was mostly just because of the time commitment, and after having, when the series ended, I didn't know whether I wanted to be on another set again, period, for a very long time, just out of exhaustion, and but after enough time passed and looking at material that was coming my way and saying no for such a long time to so many things, so realizing it's just about timing. It's about when The Fall came across my desk, it was exactly the kind of thing that exactly the type of material that I respond to and that I would want to watch, and I feel very strongly about that piece, and so that's what started it. And then initially it was NBC, them offering me a short arc on Hannibal, which I figured was probably going to be the 3 episodes that it was, and I said to them from the beginning that I wasn't likely to do more than that. But and the character kind of grew on me, and I had a lot of fun with Mads, and it's a great show, and it's shot beautifully, and so it feels like a nice team to be a part of, and so that's kind of what it was about.
David and Jillian, do you think we'll see you ever work together in roles other than Mulder and Scully, guessing on each other's shows or doing something else?
Well, apparently not.
David?
I've always, to be honest with you, and not, I've always felt like there's something, sacred is the wrong word, but I always felt like there was something just so special about, Mulder and Scully that it would have to, I love Jillian, I love to work with her, but it would have to be something that I can't think of in order to cross that line and cross up those lines between those two characters. So that's my honest answer.
Chris, we're getting to the end of the panel now. Let's talk about the future.
Fight the future.
When will we see X-Files 3, and will it be about the alien conspiracy?
I have to say, just being here today and seeing all these people, you need reason. You need a reason to get excited about going on and doing it again, because it's hard work. But actually, this is very.
So what were you saying?
Okay, I said it.
All right, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, obviously, and hope for the best. We'll continue to trust no one. The truth is out there, etc., etc. Onward and onward. Thank you, everyone, for attending this panel, the 20th anniversary of the X-Files.